to another edition of Issues with Jide. Here we talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our national and political landscape and how they impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, we'll look at how Tinubu won APC presidential primary, and later on the show, Wike others considered as Atiku's running mate. In the course of the program, we'll take your questions, but first subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have Jeremy Vazon, the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you, BKO.
Thank you for doing this with me once again.
Great. Now, the very fluid drama that played out during the days, and as a matter of fact, the hours leading to the APC primary, arrested a lot of keen attention from the public. Talk to us about how these climaxed into what has now produced the APC Flagbearer for the 2023 presidential election, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yeah, you know, after Ashwaju's outbursts in Abeokuta, which happened just a few days to the promise, he had talked himself into trouble. Many people thought that having endured a lot of mistreatment by powerful people within the party that he helped to gain power at the expense of the then ruling PDP. Many expected that he would have kept his cool right up to the end. But it seemed that Ashwaju was already fed up about some subterranean moves to stop him from becoming the standard bearer of the APC. And that was despite the fact that he was the first to announce to the president his intention to vie for the presidential ticket of the party. So immediately after his outburst, a lot of his supporters felt, look, by this action, he had offended the president. And the former Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Babajide David Lawal, even took things further by granting an interview in which he said that Ashwaju was saying bullshit, described Ashwaju's outburst as bullshit, and that no individual made, the president to win, no particular individual made the president to win, and that what he said is one reason Northerners do not trust people from the Southwest. Clearly, these remarks by Babajide David Lawal were uncalled for and clearly exaggerated, because yes, some people must have felt bad that Ashwaju went that far, but that was not to suggest that because of what he said that did not are turned against him, or that the Northerners no longer trusted the people of the Southwest. So clearly, his remarks stoked tension, and people were wondering whether he will eventually get the ticket, whether his remarks won't ultimately deny him of the ticket, deny him of tremendous support that he needed, to claim the ticket. But as we saw, the week leading to the primaries, Ashwaju supporters and minders like Governor Ganduje of Kano State, former governor of Borno State, Kashim Shettima, who is the DG of his campaign, came out to defend Ashwaju and said clearly that, look, whatever Ashwaju said was the truth. it's not as if people didn't know these things, that he was the one who went to Kaduna to convince President Buhari to return to politics. He had made up his mind since 2011 never to have anything to do with politics, and he wept on TV. So everything that he said was clearly the truth. So all that his minders needed to do was try to paper over the cracks and try to mend the damage that his remarks caused. And then you saw the national chairman of the party even threatening that Asiwaju will be promised, as if it's a sin to say anything that appeared to embarrass the president. What law had he breached by saying the truth, by saying that, look, he helped the president to take power? We all knew this, no doubt about it. Without the votes of the Southwest, the president couldn't have won the election without the votes of the South. Because in previous years, he did very well in the far north, but he didn't do enough in the South, and that denied him the presidency of the country. So he became president after he got the support of key people from southern Nigeria. By key people, I mean people with a track record of winning elections. And Asiwaju happened to be one of such people. He delivered huge number of votes to him from the Southwest that he never had since 2003 or thereabout, when he started contesting the election for the first time. So after that, we then had the drama of the national chairman of the APC claiming that Senate President Ahmed Lawan was the consensus candidate of the party. Again, NWC members rose in a wave to say, no, we were not consulted, that we were not consulted at all. But Ahmed Lawan, but the national chairman claimed that the president, he had discussed with the president that Ahmed Lawan was the consensus candidate of the party. All I had said before then was, throw this thing open, throw it open. Do not create a situation in which an unpopular candidate, unpopular aspirant would then emerge a candidate of the party in a rancorous fashion, to the point that out of anger, people can then go and work against their party. I'm happy that the northern governors, a good number of them, die-hard Asiwaju supporters, decided to stand up to be counted, because they then had a meeting and decided that the party should zone the presidency to the south, because they knew in their hearts that the party did not have somebody strong enough from the north who could defeat a formidable candidate like Atiku Abubakar. If they had a Kwankwaso in their ranks, for example, if they had even a Tambua in the APC, yes, you could say, look, these are tested people who have a history of winning elections, no matter how difficult. But they didn't have a candidate formidable. They didn't have any aspirant formidable enough to defeat Atiku. At least looking at the aspirants in the race, no one from northern Nigeria, Badaru could not have defeated Atiku. Ahmed Yerima could not have defeated, Ahmed Sani Yerima could not have defeated Atiku. And certainly, Senate President Ahmed Lawan couldn't have defeated Atiku. In fact, Atiku could defeat Ahmed Lawan in his home state of Yobe. So, in the end, the governors of APC from northern Nigeria came together and decided that they were going to zone the chairman of the presidency to the south. And everyone knows that the governors are the power brokers in the party. They fund the party. They are the big decision makers. It's not the president that takes the big decisions. If you go down memory lane, it was the governors that chased away Adams or Shomole. It was the governors that decided to put in Adams's place a caretaker and convention organizing committee led by one of them, Mai Mala Bune, the governor of Yobe State. It was the governors that decided to extend Mai Mala Bune's stay as caretaker national chairman of the APC. It was the governors that felt that, look, enough is enough. Mai Mala Bune had to leave. And you saw people like El-Rufai saying that, look, Mai Mala Bune had to go. So the governors are that powerful. They own the delegates. Whatever decision they take, the president has to abide. The president does not have a single delegate. The president is like a soldier without troops, like a general without troops. There are generals heading the education unit in the army to has many military bases under him. That's the way governors are. So after the chairman, the national chairman made unknown, the governor said that and then asked for a meeting with Mr. President, where they insisted that their decision to zone the presidency to the south was irreversible. And governors like Governor Ganduje began to recruit more governors into their folds. By Monday morning, Bola Ahmed Tinubu had 10 governors who decided among themselves that whatever happened, whatever the president wanted, they would stand by him. They would tell the president that is their candidate. Of course, we had governors like Zulum from Borno, governors like El-Rufai from Kaduna, governors like Ganduje. These governors, you cannot sell any other candidate to them. So once the president knew the position of the governors, the president knew that he just had to abide by the wish of the governors. So the president came out to say, okay, I have no anointed candidates, which effectively put paid, ended Ahmed Lawan's dream of becoming the standard bearer, the presidential standard bearer of the APC. Of course, you then saw that on the eve of the election, on the day of the election, Asuwaju had 14 governors, 14. In the course of the primaries, governors down, giving him 16 governors. Listen to me, 16 governors. With 16 governors, no aspirant stands a chance of defeating an aspirant that has 16 governors on his side, because these governors control the delegates. This is the way it is. The more governors you have on your side, the greater your chances of winning the presidential primaries. It's always been like this. So if you do not have enough governors, you cannot win the presidential primaries. If you have 2 governors, you can't defeat a man who has 6 governors. If you have 6 governors, this is the way. And Asuwaju was able to coast to victory thanks to the support, tremendous support of governors.
Right, makes sense. Beautiful analysis. So in all of these, how would you describe the role of the president in the build-up to the primary? Did he act as expected, or he surprised many?
Well, the president tried to be objective. He tried not to show his support to anyone, but having granted that interview, to a TV station where he said he had a favorite for the job. It became clear that the president had a particular aspirant in mind. And we saw that some people within the presidency were giving money to people and advising them to contest. Of course, the reason they were doing this is known to anybody knowledgeable about the nature of politics. They were funding some candidates, some aspirants, encouraging them to contest. And some of them did not even spend their own money. The money they were spending came from other people. And a lot of the aspirants felt that the president would endorse them because some of the people around the president were encouraging them to run, giving them the encouragement, the belief that the president they will convince the president to endorse such people. The president cannot by himself pick the candidate of the party. He has to work with the governors. And when he told the governors to work with him, when he talked about reciprocity and reminded the governors that many of them who are outgoing governors had been allowed to produce their successors, he was saying directly that he should be given the latitude to produce his successor, but that they should assist him. So when he used the word reciprocity in this instance meant that as he had permitted them to produce their successors, he should also be allowed to produce his own successor. And that's not democracy. You have to, even if you have a candidate, an aspirant in mind that you would want to see win, you have to work with stakeholders. You have to start early. President Buhari didn't start pushing for any candidates until it was already too late. By that time, the governors had made up their minds. How do you then cause them to change their minds and support your candidate? They are not even convinced that your candidate or your aspirant is likely to win. They are not convinced that your aspirant has what it takes to win. So they simply stuck to their own preferred aspirants, and they made it clear to the president that they had decided to zone the presidency to the south, where their own preferred aspirant comes from. So what the governor simply did was to preempt the president, to take the decision before the president took it, to make it clear their intentions before the president made clear his own intentions. So by the time they made clear their intentions, and the president, knowing that the governors had the numbers, knowing that the governors are the ones who fund the party, knowing that the governors are the ones who have the delegates who would determine where the pendulum of victory swings, the president had to calm down, take things easy, and then told everyone that, look, I have no candidate that I've anointed. I have not anointed the candidate, enabling the governor's choice to prevail. So as I said earlier, where you have 16 governors on the convention ground supporting an individual, there's nothing in the world could have stopped that individual from winning, except if the process was compromised. And the fact that more and more of the candidates decided to step down also helped Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because some of the undecided delegates, they made up their minds and voted for him. And you'll find that in Ogun, for example, despite the fact that the governor clearly was supporting the VP, people like Olanimilekon Yayi, people like Otunbagbe Daniel, who are more grounded in Ogun State politics than the governor, went to the delegates. Yes, the governor has the delegates, is the one who brought them, But these individuals went to the Ogun State delegates and convinced them to vote for Asiwaju. So Asiwaju got impressive vote tally from Ogun State, enabling him to achieve the resounding win that he had. If all the people contested the election had ganged up against Asiwaju and produced one of them to contest against Asiwaju, all their votes put together would still not have stopped Asiwaju from winning. This was a huge landslide. It was an audacious margin, and it reflected the hard work. In life, we always wish that effort should be rewarded with success. In terms of the effort that Asiwaju put into the contest, I am not in the least surprised that it turned out that way for him.
Right, makes sense. Because of our time, let me quickly change tack by looking at, based on the emergence of Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, it has actually sent some jitters into the spine of the oppositions that the PDP, for instance, is critically thinking of who to be the running mate. How dicey has the situation been for the PDP to finding a running mate for former Vice President Atiku?
I think it's actually more dicey for Asiwaju to find a running mate that will complement him effectively, complement him in terms of capacity and in terms of the ability to deliver votes, than it is for the PDP. For the PDP candidate, it's a straightforward thing. Get a Christian from southern Nigeria. Because the candidate of the PDP comes from northern Nigeria, so it makes sense for him to find, and he's a Muslim, so it makes sense for him to find a running mate from southern Nigeria. That's the way it's always been. When a candidate comes from northern Nigeria, he has to find a running mate from southern Nigeria. But the parallels that we see, when you consider what happened in 1993, is tough. It's tough for a Yoruba Christian to be able to find the right quantum of votes from northern Nigeria to make him president. Once he emerges as the candidate of the party, it's difficult to find the right quantum of votes from northern Nigeria, from the far north, except it looks in the direction of the big voting blocks from northern Nigeria. And when we talk about the big voting blocks from northern Nigeria, the two biggest blocks are the northeast and the northwest. Northwest, with its 7 states, clearly is the biggest geopolitical zone in our country in terms of votes available. And in terms of the history, electoral history, they always vote, even where the Southwest has more registered voters than the Northwest. The Northwest always deliver more votes on election day than the Southwest or any geopolitical zone for that matter. So a Yoruba Muslim from the Southwest, when he becomes the candidate of his party, is thinking of winning. He knows that the highest, the biggest chunk of votes are in the Northwest and in the Northeast. He knows that he has to balance the ticket by finding someone from the North. That is the dilemma that Asiwaju faces. That was the dilemma that Abiola faced in 1993. eventually picked Babagana Kingibe as his running mate. So we had a Muslim ticket. Now, in the case of the PDP, Atiku only has to decide whether he wants to pick his running mate from the South-South or from the Southeast. He is already a Northerner. He cannot pick from the North. So in the last election, he picked his running mate from the Southeast. This time around, people are pushing that he should go the way of the South-South because the South-South has more eligible voters than the Southeast. They also have a history of voting more than the Southeast. The quantum of votes from Delta and Rivers, they usually vote in excess of 1 million votes, presidential election. And then Akwa Ibom, with its 31 local governments, Akwa Ibom also delivers huge chunk of votes. So for Atiku, determined to win, he could be looking in the direction of the South-South this time. Especially given that the Southeast has a candidate in the race in former Anambra Governor Peter Obi. There's every reason to believe that a good number of Southeasterners, or even most of them, I really can't say, but a good number will vote for Peter Obi. But if the South-South sees one of their own on the ballot, they may complement Atiku effectively. So Atiku could be looking in the direction of either Wike or even Governor Okowa of Delta State. Some people like the governor of Sokoto State have advised Atiku not to pick a serving governor. They should pick a former governor, which will make people like Emeka Ihedioha, former governor of Imo State, or former deputy speaker of the House of Reps, or deputy to Tambua, which will make someone like him come into the picture. But these are definitely going to be interesting days because the candidates have to think hard before picking their running mates. Any mistake by the candidates in picking a running mate will cost them the election in the final analysis.
Yeah, quite interesting analysis. But then it's also believed that the leadership of the PDP and its presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, are mulling over the option of engaging the presidential candidates of the Labour Party, that's Peter Obi, and the NNPP, Robbie Okwakonso, in talks on how to work together to defeat the ruling All Progressives Congress. Is it possible for them to come together as a third force?
If they come together, it's not a third force anymore. If they team up with the PDP, then the PDP will clinch the prize. So that's not a third force. What can be defined as a third force is a party completely outside of the two dominant parties winning the election. You know, that's a long shot. A third party can do well, clinch many federal legislature seats, win some states. But as I've said repeatedly, a third force cannot win the general election in our country. Our politics is just not skewed in favor of a third force. So if they gang up, if I'm permitted to use gang up now, if they gang up against the APC, if a Kwankwaso decides to team up with an Atiku, it could be terrible for the APC. It could be terrible for the APC. If an Asiwaju moves quickly and gets Kwankwaso to support him, Asiwaju is going to win the election. You know? So it's possible for the two parties to work with those smaller parties, you know, and achieve some level of power sharing at the end of the day. That possibility is there. That possibility is there. Any of the parties capable of working with Labour, capable of working with NNPP, any of the two dominant parties capable of doing that will certainly win the election. I mean, that was a no-brainer. We'll certainly win the election because Kwankwaso is making big gains in the Northwest.
Wow, quite interesting. But what you just, based on the analysis I just gave, it may not be as easy as possible as we think if the like of Asiwaju could join force with Kwankwaso, looking at the religion kind of a thing. Don't you think this is also a tall order to achieve, even if it's going to be someone is going to be picked within the party?
It's tough, although I didn't quite get the first part of your question. I'm saying that for Asiwaju, it's a tough decision to take, to find a running mate, because he has to find that running mate within a tremendous voting bloc, because he wants to win, and he knows that where your running mate comes from can actually propel you to victory, because the running mate has to complement you in every way.
Yeah.
Complement you in terms of even garnering votes. So it's a much tougher decision for Asiwaju to make than for Atiku.
Yeah, so I was actually referring to the religious background.
Does he go for a Muslim or does he go for a Christian?
Yeah.
It's a tough decision. I have to tell you, Ibrahim, it's a tough decision for him at this time, because it's a decision that may make or mar his aspiration. So he has to sleep over it, pray over it, use his wisdom, and then come up with a decision that can help him to achieve his aim of winning the presidency. He has to take the right decision. And time is running out, because INEC expects that by the 17th of this month, the parties will have submitted the names of their running mates. So it's really tough. It's tough.
All right. Let me take one or two questions here. Yahya Ahmadu Kadubawa says, we need to grow and understand that whether Muslim tickets or whatsoever, all we need is responsible leadership that can secure the country, make our economy viable, create jobs, etc. So it appears to be, and some other opinions here, they appear to be emphasizing on competence rather than the religion. Because if you say Nigeria is a secular state, why are we emphasizing on religion? Do you agree with him?
I agree with him that we must place greater accent on competence more than anything. And I've said before, look at the House of Reps. The Speaker and the Deputy Speaker are both Muslims. But Speaker Gbajabiamila is doing such a decent job that no one talks, no one thinks of the fact that his deputy is a Muslim. And when I see Wase preside in the absence of the Speaker, I'm always happy, because he does a good job as well. So I wish we can get to that point in our country when we will not be bothered about the religion or the ethnicity of our leaders. We've had it in the past when Gawan and his number two were both Christians, and they ran Nigeria competently at the time, and heavens did not fall. You know, But we have to admit that there are those fault lines in our country. We have issues with religion. So even if some of us show maturity, we don't think it's an issue. To a number of people, it's an issue. It's an issue, you know. But one thing I know is that it is the decision of the candidate at the end of the day. And the candidate is looking to win. He will want to take the decision that can help him to win. So we can only offer our opinion. I agree with him that we shouldn't be talking about religion. We should be talking about competence. If, for example, you have a Zulum complimenting Asiwaju, for example, Zulum is the best governor of this time. He's the best governor. Everyone talks about him. He's doing wonders in Borno State. To the point that he's even building churches for Christians. When at the end of the year, when Easterners and Southerners are traveling home for Christmas, he gives them money for them to take care of their transport costs. So that's an exemplary governor. So religion get in the way of such a governor becoming a VP, for example, if he wants to be. I'm not saying that he wants to be a VP, and he said that he doesn't even want to be a VP, but I'm just using that as an illustration that somebody that we all acknowledge is a very good governor, is a very hardworking governor. If he gets a chance to be deputy to another Muslim presidential candidate, will it be right for us to disqualify him on the basis of religion? I don't think it will be right. So our country must grow up to that point, and our leaders too, who continue to use divide and rule on the basis of religion and ethnicity to divide us, they must know that they are doing a great disservice to their country. That is why these divisions are there. That's why these divisions are there. But a time has to come when we will not think of the ethnicity or the religion of our leaders. Whether it's a Muslim, we will not be bothered. In the national team, those who play for us, who represent our country, most times they're even from, a lot of them are from one ethnicity. We don't bother. The glory that they bring belongs to the whole country. That's the way it should be. And I hope that that day will come when we won't be bothered about whether Asiwaju wants to bring a Muslim to be his deputy or not.
Absolutely, absolutely. It remains to be seen how the party, the incumbent party and the opposition party will navigate these very, very, difficult bend and all of that, that's actually pathway. Well, and that's our show for today's edition of Issues with Jide. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses, as you always do, always.
Thank you.
And thanks to you to our audience.
So we'll see you next week.
Right, absolutely. And thanks to you to our audience for joining us on every edition. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.